all very busy, and so I'm going to show you today how to build arm strength, posture strength, core strength, hip strength, and all the way down to your ankle strength in one move. So what is that move? Surprise! It is a version of the push-up. I know you're saying, I can't do a push-up. I promise you. I've been a physical therapist for 37 years. I'm a strength and conditioning specialist, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of women do their very first push-up. And I've challenged at the other end men who always thought they were doing great push-ups from the ground to do a much more challenging push-up so that they could also progress. So that's what today's video is all about, to challenge each of you to do your very best push-up. Stick with me to the end because I'm going to have a special playlist for you that's going to keep you limber and toned. We're going to start with the very basic version of this exercise, and then we're going to cover stepwise progression on principles that you need to incorporate each step of the way through to the advanced version. First thing we're going to do is to look for something in the house that is just about chest height. And if it doesn't have rounded corners like this, I want you to maybe place a piece of yoga mat or fold up your yoga mat to keep your wrists and hands happy. You're going to step back and your heels will be slightly off the floor. Feet are going to be hip width apart and your hands are going to be 1.5 shoulder widths. Now, the first principle is your alignment. And when I say alignment, I'm talking everything from head to toes. And so first thing, tongue is to the roof of your mouth so that you're using the right muscles to hold your head in place. Your head is in line with your body. Your body is in line with your knees and your heels. And you'll notice that my heels are off. Once you can hold 15 seconds in this position and you go, feels pretty good, this is when you start lowering your body. We're going to do, for purpose of today's video, 3. But when you're testing yourself, I want you to be able to do 10. When you can get to 10 comfortably, you shift your weight to 1 foot. Keep all the same great alignment as you're pressing. And gradually, you will be able to build up from doing 10 on both feet to doing 5 on your right and 5 on your left. We're going to now look for a lower surface to talk about the second principle. All right, for the next level, we're going to move to something that is about the height of your belly button. You're going to notice that every incremental step we take is about 7 inches lower. And so as we go lower, we have more gravity to work against. So now when you bring yourself back with your hands 1.5 shoulder width apart and your feet roughly shoulder width apart as well, you're going to find that you're going to work a little harder. You're going to have to hold your tummy in a little harder. You're going to have to tuck your head back. But this principle here on this level is all about keeping your shoulders safe. So as you go down, it's so very important that you keep your elbows below the height of your shoulders. What I mean by that is, as you notice, my elbows are coming below the height or closer to my body than this. This is not what I want you to do. This will cause you to hate your push-ups, and your shoulders will hate your push-ups as well. Once you have mastered coming down with good form, that's when you get to practice, and you've built up your 10, you get to practice lifting your leg. Notice how you're really going to squeeze your butt. As you do that and you're coming down, you're going to gradually build so that you can do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, before you go down to the next challenge level. All right, let's move down to something closer to hip height. All right, so now we're moving on to the third tip, and you need to remember that all the tips that we've covered thus far, we're integrating into the next level down. But this third tip is so very important, again, to keep your shoulders safe. I'm going to work from something that's roughly groin or hip joint height and ensure that whatever you're using is really solid, okay? So I'm stepping back again. Hands are 1.5 shoulder width apart. If you find it easier to have your feet a little closer together when you're doing your single leg lift, that's fine too. You're going to always go back to your 15-second hold. Once you have your 15-second hold and you're comfortable here, then you know your body is ready to do the push-up. My shoulder blade's neutral and my alignment is in place. This principle now is all about part 2 of keeping your shoulders safe. So we didn't want to go too high, but we don't want to go too deep either. As I go down, I'm not going to allow my shoulders to go deeper than my elbow height. My shoulders are going to be level to my elbows. Or if you've had trauma to your shoulders before, you might want to keep the shoulders a little higher than the height of your elbows. Whether you're doing that on 2 feet or whether you're doing it on 1 foot, you're keeping all the principles in place. And that's going to bring us to our next principle, where we're going to go down 1 more level. So once you've mastered your holding, your 10 repetitions of push-ups, and then have graduated to doing it 5 on the right leg, 5 on the left leg, you're going to want to move from the 4th step to the 3rd step and just repeat the whole cycle. Now, you could always be preparing for your cycle, meaning that even though you're doing push-ups on the 4th step, you might go, I'm kind of wanting to move this along faster. So you can start doing the holding pose, which is essentially a plank on the 3rd step so that you're preparing. And in this one, we're going to cover our 4th principle. And the 4th principle here, so important that when you come to the single leg lift, that you keep your pelvis level. What I mean by level is that you're doing what I'm demonstrating and not this. That you're not dropping a pelvis, and that's going to, like as you notice, throw everything a kilter. So that means engage your glutes nice and level through the pelvis as you go down. We're now going to move to our final principle as we go lower down, inviting more gravity and more challenge. Despite the fact that you might not yet be ready to do your exercise version on the 2nd step, I still want you to pay attention to this principle because you need to apply it to all of the other levels that you've done thus far. Okay, so that is taking control over the deep muscles of your shoulder blade. Might not quite get it what I'm saying, but I know you'll understand once I explain it. So follow me. We're going to go back to our same initial setup. Now you're getting comfortable with it. I want you to pay attention to where my shoulder blades are. They're not collapsed and they're not pushing the step away yet. They're right in the middle. This is what we call our neutral shoulder blade position. I'm going to take it with me as I go into my push-up, allowing my shoulder blades to come towards one another but not collapse, and then allowing my shoulder blades to press gently away from one another, coming back to neutral in between. Whether I do that on both legs or transitioning to a single leg. Always taking control over those deep muscles of your shoulder blades to keep your shoulders part of the whole package that's so important to keep you strong. The transition from here, obviously, we keep going lower and lower. We're going to go to the 1st step. We're then going to transition to the floor. Then we're going to bring it upwards, where we're going to take our feet from the floor to the 1st step, and then our feet from the 1st step to the 2nd step. From the 2nd step, we go to an unstable surface. As promised, I really encourage you to check out this playlist that we created just for you so that you can have the full benefit of stretches that are going to complement today's exercise.